The Lost Puppy. Once upon a time, in the small, quiet town of Willowbrook, there lived a little puppy named Max. Max was a fluffy golden retriever with big, brown eyes and a playful spirit. He lived with his family, the Parkers, in a cozy house on Maple Street. Max was the joy of the household, always bringing smiles to everyone's faces with his wagging tail and happy barks. Max loved exploring the world around him. Every morning, he would wait eagerly by the door, tail wagging furiously, for Mr. Parker to take him on a walk. They would stroll through the park, greet the neighbors, and sometimes even stop by the bakery where Max would get a special treat. Emily and Max were the best of friends. They would spend hours chasing butterflies, playing fetch, and sometimes just lying on the grass, looking at the clouds. One sunny afternoon, while Emily was at school and Mrs. Parker was busy in the kitchen, Max found the gate to the backyard slightly open. His curious nature got the best of him, and he decided to go on an adventure. He squeezed through the gate and started trotting down the street, nose to the ground, sniffing everything in sight. Max's little adventure quickly turned into a big one. He wandered further and further away from home, following the enticing scents and sounds of the town. He sniffed flowers, chased a butterfly, and even tried to befriend a cat. The cat, however, was not as friendly and hissed at Max, sending him scampering away with his tail between his legs. As the sun began to set, Max realized he was far from home. He found himself in a part of Willowbrook he had never seen before. The streets were busy with people hurrying home, and the noise was overwhelming. Max started to feel scared and alone. He missed Emily, Mr. and Mrs. Parker, and the safety of his home. Max wandered the streets, trying to find his way back, but everything looked unfamiliar. He trotted up to strangers, hoping they would help him, but most people were too busy to notice the little puppy. He found a quiet corner near a CAF and curled up into a ball, his fluffy fur barely keeping him warm as the night grew colder. Meanwhile, back at the Parker household, Emily returned from school and immediately noticed Max was missing. She called out for him, checked his favorite spots, and when she couldn't find him, she ran to her parents in a panic. "Mom. Dad, Max is gone. I can't find him anywhere," Emily cried, tears streaming down her face. Mr. and Mrs. Parker quickly joined the search, calling out Max's name and looking in every nook and cranny of their house and backyard. When it became clear that Max wasn't anywhere nearby, they decided to take the search to the streets. The Parkers walked up and down the neighborhood, asking neighbors if they had seen Max. Some had seen him earlier in the day, but no one knew where he was now. The whole neighborhood joined in the search, calling out for Max and looking in every possible place. As the night grew darker, Emily refused to give up hope. "We'll find him, won't we, Daddy?" she asked, clutching her father's hand tightly. "We'll find him, sweetheart," Mr. Parker assured her, though he was worried too. Max had never been away from home for this long. Back at the CAF, Max lay shivering and alone. The CAF owner, Mrs. Thompson, noticed the little puppy outside. She was a kind woman with a soft spot for animals. She went outside and gently scooped Max up in her arms. "Oh, you poor thing. Where did you come from?" she said, stroking Max's fur to warm him up. Mrs. Thompson brought Max inside, gave him some warm milk, and made a cozy bed for him in a corner of the CAF. The next morning, Mrs. Thompson put up posters around the neighborhood, hoping to find Max's owners. Emily and her parents saw the posters while they were out searching for Max. Emily's eyes lit up when she recognized Max in the picture. "Mom. Dad, look, "It's Max," she exclaimed, pointing at the poster. They hurried to the CAF and found Mrs. Thompson, who greeted them with a smile. "I think I have someone who belongs to you," she said, leading them inside. When Max saw Emily, he barked happily and ran to her, his tail wagging furiously. Emily scooped him up and hugged him tightly, tears of joy streaming down her face. "Oh, Max, I missed you so much," she cried, burying her face in his soft fur. Max licked her face, equally happy to be reunited with his best friend. The Parkers thanked Mrs. Thompson for taking care of Max and took him home, where he received a warm bath, a big meal, and lots of love. Max was happy to be back with his family, and he promised himself that he would never wander off again. Emily made sure the backyard gate was always closed from then on, and she never let Max out of her sight. Max continued to enjoy his walks, his playtime with Emily, and the safety and warmth of his home. And so, Max's little adventure came to an end. He learned that while exploring the world was fun, there was no place like home, especially when home was filled with love and care. Max and the Parkers lived happily ever after, always looking out for each other and cherishing every moment together.